The next part is really practical. Before you can even know where to lash the foundation together, you need to know where you're going to lash them. So that's when you take your teepee from the bottom. Now I see where my opening is, where my flaps are, because that's where my poles are going to stick out. So I know that's going to be lashed down over here. And I put them same length on all of them. If you're not sure, make sure you put on each pole the same. If you miss this step, you're going to have a crooked teepee. You'll notice I don't pull out a measuring tape. So now I know that's where I lash those together. So with our northern style, we have 13 poles. And then our control flaps and our lifting pole. Because we're taught that they're not only taught linked to teachings, but each pole is honoring each of our 13 moons. So we were always told never put more than 13 poles. But anyway, we've got our foundations. So these first 3 poles represent youth and those 3 teachings that we're supposed to focus on with children is these 3 teachings first, and then they'll lead into the next foundational teachings. But this is what's going to build. Without these 3, respect, humility, and obedience, children would be stuck in this stage of development. They wouldn't be able to learn any of the other teachings or anything further until they've learned these. So our elders say it's important that they focus on these in children. But always think of it mostly in terms of themselves. Respect themselves. Then they'll be humble. Let them learn to be obedient, and they'll gain respect. But not to teach them that respect starts outward. Respect starts inward, with respecting yourself. And we see that a lot today with especially our Wuskayak, our youth, where they don't respect their bodies, they don't respect themselves. They've got piercings and everything and all this. I did that when I was a youth. Now, very regretful about it because I wasn't respecting my body when I was a youth. Drinking and all of that, not respecting my body. Somewhere along the line, I was taught that respect had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with respecting adults and respecting elders. But nobody ever taught me that, hey, you need to respect yourself. Otherwise, you'll never respect anybody else. And they were right. Because growing up being a youth, I had no respect for anybody. It didn't matter who it was. Unless it was my musum or kukum. My kukum had a big willow. And then later on, it turned to a big wooden spoon. So, of course, we've got our lashing here. And I do plain style. I pretty much learned the practicality of teepee from Herman. So we used to just do the lashing on the foundations and then put our poles around it. But after working with Herman, I do it plain style now, where we keep our rope long. We lash it, but we leave this long because it's going to be very important later on. And I've already done something wrong with my poles. Anybody pick it up? Probably only one is Herman. Remember, it's a foundation. So if I tie it here now, when I stand it up, what's going to happen? This pole is going to be hanging here, just held by the rope. So this should have been on a foundation of these ones. So I need to move that on top so that when I lift those poles, they're going to hold this middle one, and that middle one will keep them steady. So this one goes on top. And remember, I measured where my teepee ended. So now I just lash them together as best I can. Do I have to put them tight at this point? No, because they're going to tighten up when I stand them up. So simple lashings. If you're doing this, especially in a school, you probably want to use a little 6-foot teepee like this, and not a 25-foot teepee with 40-foot poles.
You don't have a teepee at a school, and we've been talking about getting one, like.
Too tight. Yeah. I have to. Another thing not to forget, because what I'm finding now is this floor is too slippery. So I got hockey tape that I keep with in my bag, because I did this last time I did this in a school. We had the same problem. It wouldn't stand, so it kept trying to slide around. So you just quickly tape it at the bottoms. Good. And it's usually just when you get to this point it'll try and do that, because once you get the other poles, they all sort of hold each other and they won't slide around. All right, so we've got our foundations there. So this represents youth or children and the stage that children are in, and the foundations of what the other teachings are going to come next when they do become youth. The next 3 poles will represent adolescents or teens. I'm going to ask Herman to come up, lay our pole, and talk a little bit about the pole placements as we're moving from here, because this next pole will determine where your door is going to be, and then how we place the poles is it's very, we don't just plop them on randomly. But I'm going to have Herman come up. He'll lay the pole, and we're doing a southern style teepee, which means I have the rope hanging from the center and the inside the teepee. And once he lays the pole, what I do is I go around in a clockwise, following the direction of the sun, and I lash that pole to the teepee.
So my pole, this obedience would have been over here. That would be the start of my teepee pole. But number 1 is always go clockwise when you're setting up your teepee and your teepee poles. You would never go backwards in time. As Native people, we don't go backwards in time. I don't think anybody does in their culture. Because once you step forward, you can't go backwards. You can't remember that last time. So you always go around. Bringing your teepee pole all around, and you know, like, you don't ever turn around or go back. And once you set your pole down, you're going to watch how it lays by itself. You know, you're going to measure once it's laid down already. And you know, you can either tie it the way Jason's going to do it there or not, but usually I'll just put them all down and I'll tie it at one time all at once, but it's done like that. So then your next pole will come, and then you come into the next pole, and then you keep coming around and around and around. You always set your pole. Where's the next pole?
The next pole is happiness.
Happiness. I'm going to happiness. If you trust me. You're gonna talk about happiness on that pole? Okay, you go.
So maybe we can lay it first and then you can talk
Yeah.
about happiness.
Just,
So happiness is the next pole.
yeah, just do what I did.
And I'll just lash them,
And then you should go on your
Okay,
side.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because if I don't, they'll slide away.
Okay. Yep. So you just gotta remember when you set your poles down, always set them right. So we can probably set up all the poles, eh, Jason? Before we talk about it, then we can talk about it.
If you want, yeah.
I think it'll be that much easier for
Yeah.
us, that once we set the pole up.
Yeah.
Next one.
So the next one would have been,
You have to go right around, man. What's the next one?
faith, yeah.
Okay, give it, more, give it to me. I'm holding these poles.
That's okay.
It's okay, I'm holding these, kind of holding these poles. Oh, stuff.
Yeah, and I put the lashing so it shouldn't slide.
Is it family next? Yeah, that's me.
Family?
Yep. And then sharing.
With
All the way
the
around
kids,
Yeah, right around one.
Okay.
in the schools with the students, vital that you let them participate like this actively. And I'd suggest you do it the way that I'm doing it now by, after each one is up, lash it the way I'm doing it. Because on the floor, especially in the classroom, your poles are just gonna start sliding all over.
Okay, at this point now, kagaya nakatinpiak, you gotta leave room for one here. Okay, yeah. Yeah, yeah. It'll stick. Now,
I'll make up the mind.
one step over. Get that, yeah. Drop it in the hole now. So what you wanna do is you wanna fall this guy and you wanna drop it right here. Okay?
What's that?
That was Hope.
Hope? Who's after Hope?
Cleanliness.
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 Next
Marina.
one, is
Yeah.
this one?
Yeah.
Jason,
Do you want to go all the way around or stop here?
Because you started over there?
Yeah.
Here you go, I mean, they always ask, why do you always gotta go right around? There's just one woman at one time, there's one woman one time, she was a professional teepee setter. She was a professional teepee maker. She was a professional teepee maker, and she come from down south. And she went clockwise, counterclockwise, and her teepee stood up for about 5 seconds. After all the kids set them all up for her, collapsed. And I asked her why she went counterclockwise. And she said, well, that's how I was taught. But you know, this lady was getting paid $5,000 for that day to come and set up. $5,000 to go to church because he was a professional. So after today, I'm going to be charging a little bit.
$6,000.
No, but then, after that, I told her, well, it's down. She says, Kermit, can you help me? What did I do wrong? I said, well, you didn't go clockwise. You didn't do it set properly. Everything's done clockwise.
Except Blackfoot.
That's right, except that.
Blackfoot is counterclockwise.
Coming through.
And I don't even want to speak about it because I don't have those teachings. But I do know if you've experienced the powwow, you'll see in the powwow, the majority are dancing in a clockwise, as we're taught as free people. And then every now and then you'll see a dancer who's dancing counterclockwise. And that's how you can recognize that's a Blackfoot dancer. They go counterclockwise.
Do you know what?
I have no idea. I've never gotten the teaching. Yeah, but I noticed it sometimes.
So now with this one here, this is your 13 pole, right? Mm-hmm. That's the one that should be right here. No, that shouldn't be right there. It should be right here. We should have went back one because that's going to be holding the teepee right here. This one?
Yeah, that's
That's
our
the
door.
one that holds the teepee. This is your door.
We still have our lifting pole.
Yeah. This is the end of your door. So you're going to put it right here. So you're going to put it on the east side. All right? You're going to put your door on the east side. Very easy. I'm lost in the school. Where is he?
Yeah,
East is
east
that way.
is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your door is over there.
Which is fine. Guess where it's pointing? Southeast.
Southeast.
What was our teaching yesterday about southeast?
Women's.
So somewhere along the way, this teepee decided that it's going to be a grandmother teepee.
Yeah. Decided it all by himself.
Yeah. Because it's to the southeast. Yeah, southeast. So it must be because there's mostly women here decided. The teepee decided for us.
He decided for us.
Now with this, I'll just... The last one might, because we usually just around big,
Yeah.
and a big teepee.
This is the part I get a kick out of because, like I was telling photographer there yesterday, kids, the first question they ask you is when you're putting up an 18-foot teepee or a 16-foot teepee, well, how do you tie that knot over there? I said, well, you just hang on for a minute and I will explain to you guys, I'll show you guys how that's done. I said, before I was ever an Indian, I was a cowboy, and then after I was a cowboy, I was a Métis, okay? And then after being a Métis, he said, "Yo, you got to be an Indian." So I said, "Okay." So, anyways, this is how we tie our knots when we have a 16-foot teepee in there. All right. So this is where the cowboy comes in. All right.
Because remember, it's way up there. That's how he caught his wife over there.
Just a little bit on this rope, and because my favorite pole is respect. The greatest respect I have is, like Jason said, is my wife. She's the one that helped me go through the education part, how to read and how to write a little bit. Muy pues na mas naigan sigan man. She taught me the Cree language also, because the Cree language had to be spoken in my house and with my kids. And I'm so my youngest, my grandkid, I call him my boy. He's only 4 years old now. and he's only 4 years old. But that's my respect with my wife for teaching me all of this. And my greatest respect is for you all here that are standing right here today to learn this. Some of you guys have known it before, some of you guys are just learning it now, but my respect is because you guys are here to learn our culture as Native people, and that's my greatest respect. And this rope, I always talk about this rope because this is the one that binds, like Jason said, this is the one that binds all the nations together and makes that basket up there. And once you fill that basket with all nations, because nobody's disrespected and nobody's turned back from a teepee. Everybody's allowed in there, no matter what color you are, white, brown, blue, pink, or black. You're all welcome. So that's a little bit of mine.
Thank you, Herman.